part of the world you are joining us from, Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade welcomes you all for this prestigious event, World MSME Day 2023. I am Ananya Banerjee Chatterjee, the R&D and Communication Officer and your host for the evening. Every year on June 27th, Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day is celebrated to honor their role in achieving these sustainable development goals. Small and medium-sized enterprises account for 90% of businesses, 60 to 70% of employment, and they account for their half of global GDP according to the United Nations. The Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade, based in India, South Africa, United States, and UK, with board and council members representing across the world. This year, we are celebrating the day with global perspective from various departments, ministries, Chamber of Commerce, and international organizations. We believe that global perspective has a significant impact on paving the way to the future. Coordinated global responses is key to MSME post-pandemic economic recovery. World MSME Day is an important opportunity to look at this topical-oriented issue in the global context of MSME. Here we ask the rest of the world to work together to help MSME get through the current crisis and build up their ability to handle future shocks. We encourage GCPIT members to create an open, fair, non-discriminatory, and predictable global trade and businesses environment that helps and encourage MSMEs to participate in international trade and businesses. So today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Pradeep Dubey. He comes with rich experience in international business and trade development. He has served as director at EduGlobe. He is skilled in developing international business, trade, partnership, and collaboration, and has highly developed capabilities in multilingual and cross-cultural communication. He received the International Achievers Award 2021 for his noteworthy achievements in international business engagement and relationship building. He is passionate about engaging and working with people from diverse cultural backgrounds and involved in social philanthropic activities with NPOs in multicultural areas. And today he will be sharing his valuable insights on the topic international trade and investment opportunities of his country. Over to you, Mr. Dubey.
Thank you, Ananya, for the introduction, and thank you for having me here. And thank you, GCPIT, for giving me this opportunity. Definitely, as MSMEs play a very, very vital role in business world. They, as you very rightly said, they account for more than 90% of businesses. In fact, 60 to 70% of employment and 50% of GDP comes from MSME enterprises only. And as the backbone of societies, everywhere they contribute to local and national economies. And they also contribute to sustaining livelihoods, in particular among the working poor, women, vulnerable groups, youth, and various weaker sections of society. So they play a very, very vital role in the social and economic domains. Coming to the Australia and the what kind of industry structure is in Australia. So I'll give you a brief introduction about Australia. So I'll go ahead with the introduction about Australia, the country I'm representing. Australia is the smallest continent and one of the largest countries on Earth. It's lying between Pacific and Indian Oceans in the southern hemisphere. And this is the geographical location of Australia. And Canberra is Australia's capital. Canberra is located in southeast part of Australia. That's between main economic hubs of Sydney and Melbourne. The population of Australia is 26 million. It's very diversified, having people from different countries, from different cultural backgrounds. It consists more than, in fact, 270 ethnic groups. And speaking about Australia's industry structure, the largely when we speak about the micro and small medium enterprises, the agricultural, forestry, and fishing is the sector that contributes most. That actually employs significant number of people, and it has a share of the employment share of 2.6%. Then mining, as we know that mining is a main sector where the Australia is very strong. The mining sector employs 1.9% of people, and it contributes to 10% to the GDP. Then manufacturing employs around 7% people, and it contributes 6% to the GDP. Service sector is the largest employer, employing around 88.4% of people, and its share is also very significant, nearly 73% share in the GDP. And services is the sector where the largest number of small organizations are involved, particularly cafes, standalone cafes. They are owner-operated businesses, and contributing significantly to the country's economy, employing people and offering services. Then I'll speak about the micro small businesses scenario in Australia. So small businesses account for 97% of Australian businesses, which is even higher than the global percentage of 90. About a quarter of all Australian businesses are micro businesses. So that's a very big number. And that means they only have 1 to 4 employees. So they are largely owner-driven businesses. While around 60% of small businesses are sole traders who are non-employing. So they are the sole business owners driven businesses and contributing significantly. That's 60%. Over 50% of the total value of Australia's GDP comes from small and medium enterprises. And this sector employs over 5 million people. That is 42% of Australia's private sector workforce, which is almost half of the workforce is employed by MSME sector. Agriculture, forestry, fishing, with 82% of employment, they have the highest percentage of small businesses. Small and medium enterprises make up the Australian economy's backbone. So that's very evident out of the data that I have just shared. But there are many challenges preventing businesses from succeeding long term, and the biggest challenge for them is the access to funds. That's the biggest challenges that they face. Now, speaking about the government support, there are various programs and mentoring services, loan sponsorship, subsidies, rebates, tax benefits, and grants provided by government at various levels, at federal level also, and different state governments run different programs. Apart from that, when we are speaking about international trade, export, there is a program called Export Market Development Grants, which is given by federal government, the body called Austrade, And this is very, very popular among MSME export businesses. There have been very, very many many examples when these out of this support businesses have succeeded in international markets. So this was about MSME. Next, I would like to speak about the Australia's export side. So Australia's top 10 exports are as follows. Like first is dominating that, as I said, the mining is core sector in Australia. So iron ores and concentrates, this sector dominates. Australian exports is number one, and the part of this sector is around 25.7% of the total exports. Then comes coal, then natural gas. After that, one very important is in service sector, the education related travel. Well, Australia is very, very popular destination for international students. So a lot of travel happens because of students' movement and their family and their relatives. So that's very significant. That contributes around 15% to the total exports, and it's number 4. Then comes personal travel, excluding education related travels. So personal travel services contributes around 5%. Then comes gold, aluminium, then beef, crude petroleum, and finally copper ores and concentrate. So these are 10 are leading exports from Australia. Now I would like to give a brief glimpse of the Australia's overall scenario, how it ranks vis-a-vis world trade and investment sector. So Australia is second wealthiest nation in terms of median wealth per adult after the Switzerland. Switzerland is number 1. Australia is 5th largest global exporter of pearls, zircon, and silver, and 6th largest exporter of gold by value. Then Australia is 2nd largest global exporter of beef, 3rd largest exporter of lentils, 4th largest exporter of sugar, and 10th largest exporter of cereals. Australia is 4th largest global exporter of wine. Australian wines are very, very popular, and it holds a very, very dominant position in this sector, in the sector of wine exports. Australia is ranked 12th on the Global Talent Competitiveness Index. Australia is the largest global exporter of wool and 4th largest exporter of cotton. Then Australia is number 1 global exporter of iron ore that we just discussed, iron ore and coal also. 2nd largest exporter of aluminium, lead and zinc. 3rd largest exporter of copper ore. Australia has completed 28 consecutive years of annual economic growth. One of the few economies in the past, in the post World War II, that have achieved this kind of performance. So that way, that's very, very remarkable for the point of the Australian economy, the resilience of Australian economy. Now I would like to proceed about the two-way trade, how it happens for Australia. So Australia's the major trade happens between the countries. The largest trade partner, the biggest trade partner for Australia is China. China accounts for nearly 26.4% of the country's international trade. So that's very significant. Almost more than a quarter is the China's share. So it's followed by Japan. Japan has nearly 10% share. Then North Korea, it's 4.6%. Then Asian countries contribute around 14%. Other Asia is nearly 11%. Europe is 14.3%. America is 11%. Oceanic region is 4.8%. Africa is very, very low, so that's 1.3%. Largely, the international trade, largely, if we see the whole picture, so Asia accounts for nearly 65.7% of international trade of Australia. So that's very, very significant. And Australia is very, very bullish on increasing its engagement with Asian countries. Recently, like a couple of trade deals, and which one of them is very, very popular, that has been signed with India. So that way, Asia, the international trade potential and the activity between Australia and Asia is quite high. It has a very good potential. Then I would like to speak about when we were talking about two-way trading. So particular countries. Number one is China. Then comes Japan. Japan is nearly 10%. Third is USA, which is 8.6%. Korea, it's followed by Korea, 4.6%. Then Singapore is 3.7%. Then our neighbor, New Zealand, is 3.4%. United Kingdom is 3.54%, same. India is again same, 3.4%. Malaysia is 2.8%. Thailand is 2.8%. So these are 10 top countries having two-way trade with Australia. Then free trade agreements and Australia's trade and investment framework, I would like to speak about that. So Australia has an active agenda of negotiating, implementing, reviewing, and advocating bilateral and regional free trade agreements. That is significant trade and investment opportunities for the country and for the international businesses, and that also supports multilateral liberalization efforts. Australia currently has 14 free trade agreements. Most of these are bilateral. 2 are regional agreements. Regional free trade agreements, they facilitate seamless trade and investment between businesses and the parties. Australia is also working hard to negotiate few FTAs that open entirely new export and investment opportunities. The country has a goal of increasing the coverage of Australia's two-way trade with free trade agreements partners to around 90% of total trade by 2023. That's a very, very ambitious target Australia has. I would like to now say about the free trade agreements that are in force. So Australia has 16 regional and bilateral free trade agreements as on March 2020, including new agreements with Hong Kong and Peru, and latest that was signed in this year only with United Kingdom. Then there is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, that's RCEP. RCEP is a regional free trade agreement which builds upon Australia's existing agreements with 14 other Indo-Pacific countries. It entered into force on 1st of January 2022 and will be the world's largest free trade agreement by members' GDP when successfully ratified by all the parties. So this is a very, very significant agreement between Australia and many East Asian countries. I would like to give a specific reference of a new trade agreement between Australia and India, which is very high between both the countries. So this called ACTA, ACTA, was entered into force on 29th December last year, 2022. And it's very, very significant. Like 85% of Australian goods exposed to India are now tariff-free. And it's rising to 90% over the next 6 years. And 96% of imports from India are now tariff-free. That figure that will reach 100% in 4 years. So that's kind of the free trade arrangement is going to be between both countries. Speaking about Australia and India trade status, India is Australia's 6th largest trading partner, 4th largest export market, and 2nd largest export market for education. Education, as I said, is very, very important part of Australia's international trade of services. So I would like to speak specifically on international education sector. Top 5 source countries for international students for Australia are number 1 is China, followed by India, then Nepal, Brazil, and Vietnam. International education is a sector where that gives a lot of opportunity to MSME businesses to set up their business at various levels. It can be in the form of some joint venture, in the form of some investment proposals between both the countries, their countries and Australia, and it can be in the form of like representing Australian universities in their countries. They can set up a business and can start working and for the students of their own geographies. Now I would like to move to the investment part, Australia's investment landscape. Foreign investment plays an important role in the Australian economy. There are a number of types of foreign investment portfolios. Direct investment, it can be in the form of direct investment, FDI, financial derivatives, and other investment, for example, loans and reserve assets. Portfolio investment includes the purchase of securities, such as stocks or bonds or equity, and debt transactions, where the investor does not gain any control over the operation of the enterprise. This is the large type of investment overall for Australia and many other developed economies. FDI occurs when a foreign entity establishes a new business or acquires 10% or more share of a local enterprise, and importantly has some control over its operations. FDI is also often associated with knowledge transfer, particularly from foreign head office to a local subsidiary. Speaking about the sectors, the mining, again, mining holds the largest pie, the share in the pie. At the mining contributes around 365.5 billion of the investment, and it's followed by investments in manufacturing, which is 107.7 billion. And then financial insurance activities, it's almost the same, 107.5 billion. Real estate activities and wholesale and retail trade and information and communications. These are the major sectors where the investment happens. Australia's top 5 total investment abroad destinations, where Australia has invested, the countries. So top country is United States, followed by United Kingdom, then Japan, then New Zealand, and Cayman Islands. So these are the 5 major destinations for Australian investment. Next, I would like to sum up with the case studies. from both sides, investment and exports. In the investment side, there is a very interesting case study of the company called Chobani. That's a US company, US food maker. They invested in Australia. They in fact found a kind of home in Australia, and they have become Australia's #1 brand in the yogurt category. Here it's the mainstay of the community sourcing. They source raw material, raw ingredient and packaging from local suppliers wherever possible, providing jobs for the residents and contributing to charitable programs. These things have been the main pillars of their success in Australia. And as an active member of the local community, the company looks to give back wherever possible. For instance, it produces fresh yogurts for Australia's largest food relief organization, that's called Food Bank. Every week, it has donated 1 million meals to Australian families since 2012. Chobani also supports the Breakfast Club at a primary school. It has also run an incubator program to mentor local socially responsible food startups. So that's a very, very important part they are contributing for the society, for the community. The case study for the export from Australia, very interesting case. That's very recently, last year, it has happened. And it also throws light on the significance of the new trade agreement between Australia and India. So Australia's this new trade winters. In mid 2022 last year, they shipped first order for over 14,000 bottles of own label wines to Delhi. Within 2 months, they signed an export order for 2 containers or around 28,000 bottles to Mumbai. That's a very, very encouraging for the company. Up to here, I would like to share one important thing, like up to 85% of India's wine market is currently dominated by major brands, but a trade agreement is helping smaller wine exports, smaller wine businesses. So that's very, 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 very encouraging when we are talking about MSME businesses. And with this, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing this valuable information with us. And thank you for giving your time. And once again, I would like to say thank you from the entire GCPIT team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananda. Thank you for this opportunity.